Hello and welcome to Thrive Within. I'm your host, Marc Bucksath, life coach, educator, and someone who's passionate about helping you live your life more fully, honestly, and aligned with who you really are. This podcast is your space for real talk and focused coaching on things like confidence, purpose, boundaries, self-doubt, and personal growth. So whether you're on a walk, taking a break, or just giving your brain a moment to breathe, I am so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about something that affects us all, momentum. Let's talk about something that we're rarely allowed to question out loud. The idea that slowing down is dangerous. That if you pause, you lose progress. That rest equals regression. This belief shows up everywhere, from corporate culture to self-help spaces to your own inner critic. And it sounds like, if I stop, I fall behind. Or, if I don't keep producing, I lose my relevance. Or, if I rest now, I have to work twice as hard later. But let's be real. How many times have you kept moving just because stopping felt scarier than exhaustion? But here's the truth. Momentum doesn't always mean progress. Sometimes momentum is just momentum. It's a flurry of doing. A full calendar, a numbing addiction to productivity that looks oppressive but feels empty. I've met so many people, and maybe you're one of them, who are exhausted, burned out, and completely disconnected, but still moving, still chasing, still trying to outrun that invisible finish line. And the momentum becomes a mask. We hide behind it. Because when we're in motion, we don't have to feel. We don't have to ask those hard questions. Is this actually working for me? Do I even want this version of success? And what is the constant hustle costing me? Here's the reframe I want you to think about, that I want to offer to you. Sometimes the bravest, most aligned thing you can do is pause. Not because you're weak, not because you're strong, but because you're finally listening to yourself. Because what you really need is not more momentum, it's more clarity, more grounding, more space to breathe. Pause isn't a threat, it's a threshold. It's a doorway to your next season. Not something that takes you backward, but something that brings you deeper into your truth. Let me share with you a story. It happened long ago. This was early in my career. I was a cinematographer for a low-budget independent film. And I'm going to share this story because it hit me harder on set than anywhere else. And I remember this one shoot in particular. We were working really long hours and turning scenes around quickly, the kind of day where everyone is just running on adrenaline and caffeine, and I'm bouncing between different departments, handling camera setups, jumping to fixing the lights, and making sure the crew stayed on schedule. And from the outside, it looked like momentum. Everything kept moving, and we were technically on time, but the truth is, the set didn't feel right. The actors were tense, the crew was snapping at each other, and even though the lights were placed correctly, the energy was all wrong. And at one point, I was on a ladder and I was adjusting a light, and the director's calling up, "Hey, we're losing daylight. We need to move faster." And something in me wanted me to push, to keep hustling, to get it perfect while the clock ticked down. But then, something inside me said, "Stop." So I froze. For just a moment on the ladder, I took a breath. I looked around, and I realized no one had eaten in hours. The actors were waiting silently, holding emotions in their bodies without a release. And the electric team was rushing cables and lights without situational awareness, risking mistakes that could hurt somebody. And it hit me. Momentum was carrying us forward, but at what cost? At the cost of safety? At the cost of quality? So I climbed down. I walked over to the director and I said, "Look, we need 5 minutes. Just 5. At first, there was resistance because in the film world, every minute costs money. But I held my ground, and he gave in, and we called for a short pause. And in that pause, magic. The crew grabbed water, the actors took off the tension, and when we rolled again, the scene had just landed, and not just technically, but emotionally. The energy reset, we actually saved time in the long run because we weren't forcing something broken. That momentum taught me something I carried into my life coaching and into this podcast. Momentum without presence leads to burnout. But a pause, even a brief one, brings everyone, including yourself, back into alignment. And that's the same as true offset. Your life may look on schedule, but if the energy is off, if your soul is starving, it's not really working. So let's take a moment to get quiet together. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't need a meditation cushion or a perfect room. You just need your willingness to pause. So wherever you are right now, I invite you to settle in. And if you're walking, just slow your steps. And if you're sitting, let your shoulders drop. And if you're driving, just let your jaw unclench. Now, take a breath in through your nose. Hold for a moment. And exhale slowly through your mouth. Let's do that again. Inhale deeply. Hold. And slowly exhale. Now let yourself arrive. Let your nervous system soften. Let this next minute be about receiving rather than doing. Now I want you to ask a few questions. You don't need to answer them out loud. Just notice what your body says as you hear them. What part of me has been trying to speak, but I've been too busy to listen? Where in my life am I forcing pace over peace? And what would it feel like if I gave myself permission to pause without guilt? Just notice. There's no judgment, because stillness is not nothingness. Stillness is where truth gathers. Stillness is where clarity waits patiently. Now let's get honest about why slowing down feels so hard. Many of us are afraid to pause, not because we don't want to, but because we have tied our worth into being useful. On set, I've noticed this too. People who kept moving, even when it wasn't necessary, were the ones praised as hard workers, but the person who stopped to think through a problem often was overlooked. Somewhere along the way, we internalized the lie that stillness equals laziness, that rest is a luxury, not a birthright. So even when our bodies beg us to stop, we just override it. But here's the reframe. Your stillness is just as sacred as your success. Your pause is just as powerful as your progress. And the world may not reward slowness, but your soul does. Imagine this. What if slow was the goal? Not just a temporary break, not just a self-care Sunday, but an actual way of living. On set, some of the most powerful shots we ever captured weren't rushed. They were the ones where everyone, actors, crew, director, took a breath together. Life works the same way. When you build your rhythm around breath instead of deadlines, you don't lose ambition. You gain alignment. Let's get practical. Here are 5 simple ways to reclaim slowing down. 1, take micropauses throughout the day. Before opening an email, pause a full breath. Before answering a text, ask, am I reacting from urgency or alignment? 2, Protect one thing per day that feeds you. Journal. Take a walk. Sit outside. Protect it like you would an heirloom or some kind of expensive gear. Protect it like it's something that is precious, because it is. 3, slow down your decisions. You don't need to answer right away. Say, let me feel into that. 4, practice saying without explaining. No thank you is a full sentence. You don't have to explain it. There it is. If you like to journal, you can use journaling prompts to reconnect. Ask, where in my life am I rushing through something sacred? What does my body need right now? And what am I afraid will happen if I stop? So, what if peace is success? Think about it. Films aren't remembered for how fast they were shot. They're remembered for the way that they make people feel. Your life is no different. If your outer winds cost you your inner peace, it isn't really success. So here's what I want you to carry with you today. You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to move at the speed of your own soul. Sometimes, like on that set, all it takes is 5 minutes of breathing to reset everything. So thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode resonated with you, follow the show, share with a friend, or leave a kind review. It helps more people find these conversations. And if you're ready to go deeper, check out my books or learning more about coaching with me at guidedpathcoaching.crd.co. Until next time, be kind to yourself. You'll already do it better than you think.